Welcome to our tour of the top creepy places in Kentucky, a state that's as known for its rolling hills, bourbon distilleries, and horse racing as it is for its dark and haunted history. Beneath its picturesque landscapes and southern charm lies a world filled with unsettling stories and haunted locations. Kentucky's haunted past is woven into its very fabric. Today, we're diving into the creepy side of the Bluegrass State, where centuries-old folklore, tragic events, and the unexplained have given rise to some of the most creepy spots in the region. Number 5. Jailer's Inn Bed and Breakfast. Let's head to Bardstown, Kentucky, where one of the most unique and eerily fascinating places in the state awaits. The Jailer's Inn Bed and Breakfast. As the name suggests, this charming inn was once a county jail, but its history is much darker than its quaint appearance might let on. The building was originally constructed in 1819 and operated as the Nelson County Jail for over 200 years, until it finally closed in 1987. This makes it one of the oldest operating jails in Kentucky's history. During its long tenure as a prison, it housed not only petty criminals, but also some of the most dangerous outlaws of the time, including Confederate soldiers captured during the Civil War. The jail witnessed countless hangings, violent fights between inmates, and even a few cold-blooded murders. The jail's conditions were notoriously brutal, especially in its early days. Inmates were packed into small cells with little ventilation, and sanitation was almost non-existent. The dungeon in the basement was where the worst offenders were kept, often chained to the walls in complete darkness. It's no surprise that a place with such a violent and tragic history would leave behind a few spirits. After its closure as a jail, the building was converted into a bed and breakfast, but the former inmates seem to have never left. Guests and staff report a variety of paranormal activity, making it one of Kentucky's most haunted inns. Disembodied voices, footsteps echoing through the halls, and the sudden appearance of shadowy figures are common occurrences. Some guests have even reported the feeling of being watched, or worse, physically touched by unseen hands while they sleep. One of the most well-known ghost stories from Jailer's Inn involves a woman believed to be the wife of one of the former jailers. According to local legend, she was a compassionate woman who cared for prisoners and often tried to make their lives a bit more bearable. Her spirit has been seen wandering the inn's upper floors, still watching over those who pass through its doors. Another chilling tale involves a former inmate who was hung within the jail's walls. His spirit is said to haunt the old dungeon, where visitors have felt sudden drops in temperature, experienced equipment malfunctions, and even heard eerie moans coming from the dark corners of the room. Despite its haunted history, the Jailer's Inn continues to attract visitors, many of whom are drawn to its combination of history and paranormal intrigue. Guests can still stay in the former cells, now converted into cozy rooms, though the iron bars on the windows and doors serve as a constant reminder of its dark past. The juxtaposition of its modern comforts and its grim history creates an unforgettable experience for those brave enough to spend the night. But beware, you may check in as a guest, but the spirits of Bardstown's past will be keeping a close eye on you during your stay. Number 4. Sheldonbach Hilton Hotel. The Sheldonbach Hilton Hotel in Louisville is not only one of Kentucky's most opulent landmarks, but it's also steeped in eerie legends and haunted history. Opened in 1905, the hotel was the brainchild of brothers Otto and Louis Sheldonbach, German immigrants who wanted to bring the grandeur of European hotels to Louisville. From its earliest days, the Sheldonbach became a gathering place for the elite, hosting lavish parties, political events, and even celebrities. The Sheldonbach has played a key role in Louisville's history. It was one of the finest hotels in the South, attracting presidents such as Woodrow Wilson and Franklin D. Roosevelt, along with dignitaries and movie stars. During Prohibition, the hotel became a secret hotspot for illegal liquor, with hidden tunnels beneath the hotel, allowing alcohol to be smuggled in from speakeasies. This added a layer of intrigue and danger to its glamorous reputation. In fact, the Sheldonbach's notorious history was so captivating that it influenced one of America's greatest novels, The Great Gatsby. F. Scott Fitzgerald stayed at the Sheldonbach while stationed at nearby Camp Taylor during World War I. The hotel's elegance and the excess he witnessed inspired him to set a scene in a fictionalized version of the Sheldonbach. The hotel's aura of wealth, corruption, and tragedy perfectly fit Fitzgerald's world of lost dreams and moral decay. But behind its glitzy facade, the hotel has harbored darker tales, leading to its reputation as one of Louisville's most haunted locations. The most famous ghost story associated with the Seelbach is that of the Lady in Blue. In the 1930s, a woman named Patricia Wilson checked into the hotel under tragic circumstances. Recently separated from her husband, she came to the Seelbach with the intention of reconciling, but fate took a different turn. Her estranged husband was involved in a car accident on his way to meet her, dying before they could reunite. Devastated by the loss, Patricia fell into despair. It's said that shortly afterwards, she either jumped or accidentally fell down an elevator shaft on the 10th floor, ending her life in one of the most tragic ways imaginable. Since then, Patricia's spirit is said to haunt the Seelbach, appearing as the Lady in Blue due to the long blue dress she was wearing at the time of her death. Guests and staff report seeing her in the hallways, particularly near the elevator where she died. Some feel an icy chill when she's near, while others have heard faint sobbing. On more than one occasion, people claim to have seen a woman in a blue dress in their room, only to have her vanish into thin air. It's not uncommon for guests to call down to the front desk, describing encounters with this mysterious, ghostly figure. But Patricia isn't the only spirit thought to haunt the Seelbach. The hotel's ballroom has long been a focal point for paranormal activity. Staff members report hearing the sounds of phantom parties, laughter, clinking glasses, and music, only to find the room empty. These ghostly gatherings seem to harken back to the hotel's glory days, when grand balls and glamorous events filled the space with life. Some speculate that the spirits of those who attended these parties may still be lingering, trapped in time, reliving their happiest moments. The Seelbach Hotel's blend of luxury and lingering spirits continues to make it a must-visit for both history buffs and paranormal enthusiasts. Whether you come to enjoy its historic grandeur or seek an encounter with the Lady in Blue, the Seelbach offers a glimpse into a time long past, where glamour and ghost stories intertwine. Number 3. Octagon Hall. Tucked away in Franklin, Kentucky, lies one of the most unusual and haunted homes in the state, Octagon Hall. Built in 1847 by Andrew Jackson Caldwell, this 8-sided antebellum mansion is a marvel of architectural design for its time. While its shape is unique, it's the hall's eerie history and haunted reputation that truly set it apart. Over the years, Octagon Hall has witnessed tragedy, war, and the untimely deaths of several people, leaving behind what many believe to be restless spirits. Andrew Caldwell, a prominent planter and staunch Confederate sympathizer, designed Octagon Hall to reflect his wealth and position in society. The 8-sided design was believed to provide better ventilation and natural light, key considerations before modern conveniences like electricity. Despite its grandeur, the hall became the site of many dark and tragic events. One of the most enduring legends involves the Caldwell's daughter, Mary Elizabeth, who tragically died at the age of 7 after her dress caught fire in a kitchen accident. The family tried desperately to save her, but she succumbed to her injuries. To this day, many visitors claim to hear the ghostly cries of a young girl and have reported seeing her spirit playing in the yard or inside the house. Octagon Hall also played a significant role during the Civil War, primarily due to Caldwell's support for the Confederate cause. It became a safe haven for Confederate soldiers, who would hide within its walls and in secret spaces underneath the home. The house's proximity to the Tennessee border made it an ideal location for hiding troops and supplies from Union forces. The basement of Octagon Hall was frequently used as a hospital for wounded Confederate soldiers, many of whom died within its walls. It's said that the spirits of these soldiers still haunt the property, seeking peace, or perhaps reliving their final moments. Visitors and paranormal investigators have reported hearing footsteps, voices, and even seeing the spectral forms of soldiers in Confederate uniforms roaming the grounds. One of the most chilling legends involves a Confederate soldier who was buried in the front yard after being shot by Union forces while trying to escape capture. It's said that his ghost, along with other soldiers who died there, continues to haunt the grounds, still guarding the house as they did during the war. After the war, Octagon Hall's haunted reputation only grew. The home stayed within the Caldwell family for several generations, but with each new family member came new stories of ghostly encounters. The house changed hands multiple times over the years, and in 2010, restoration began. It was opened as a museum dedicated to preserving its history and paranormal activity. Today, Octagon Hall is a hotspot for ghost hunters and paranormal enthusiasts. One of the most commonly reported phenomena is the smell of burning fabric, believed to be connected to the tragic death of Mary Elizabeth. Her presence is felt so strongly that some visitors have left toys and trinkets for her, hoping to connect with her spirit. In addition to Mary Elizabeth, visitors frequently report hearing the sounds of footsteps in empty rooms, doors slamming on their own, and disembodied voices calling out. The basement, in particular, is considered one of the most haunted parts of the house, with reports of shadowy figures and the sensation of being watched. The Octagon Hall Museum offers regular ghost tours and paranormal investigations, allowing brave visitors to experience the house's haunted history firsthand. It has also been featured on several paranormal TV shows. Octagon Hall stands as a fascinating mix of Southern history, architectural wonder, and paranormal activity. Its tragic past, particularly during the Civil War, seems to have left an indelible mark on the property. For those seeking to delve into the supernatural or explore the darker side of Kentucky's history, Octagon Hall offers an eerie, unforgettable experience, and has earned its reputation as one of Kentucky's most haunted locations. Number 2. Bobby Mackey's Music World. Located in Wilder, Kentucky, Bobby Mackey's Music World is one of the most notorious haunted locations in the United States, steeped in a blend of tragedy, violence, and paranormal lore. The building, currently a honky-tonk bar, has earned its reputation for being a hotspot of supernatural activity, with some claiming it's home to a demonic presence. Before it became Bobby Mackey's, the site was originally used as a slaughterhouse in the 19th century. This detail is crucial to the dark energy that many believe still lingers today. During its operation, animal blood was funneled into a well in the basement that connected to the nearby Licking River. Over time, rumors spread that this well, now known as the Portal to Hell, was used in occult rituals. The theory goes that the negative energy created by the mass slaughter, combined with the possible occult practices, opened a doorway for dark forces to manifest. The well is still present in the basement of Bobby Mackey's, and many paranormal investigators have focused on it as a focal point for the demonic activity reported in the building. Some believe the well is a spiritual gateway, and those who have dared to explore the basement claim to feel an overwhelming sense of dread when near it. One of the most disturbing legends tied to Bobby Mackey's Music World is the gruesome murder of Pearl Bryan in 1896, a young woman from Greencastle, Indiana. Pearl was just 22 years old when she was found decapitated in a field not far from where the building now stands. Her murder was particularly horrifying because her head was never found. Pearl was pregnant at the time, and it's believed that her lover, Scott Jackson, and his accomplice, Alonzo Walling, killed her in an attempt to perform a botched abortion. The men were caught and later hanged for their crime, but before his execution, Walling reportedly threatened that he would haunt the area forever. Some believe that Pearl's head may have been used in occult rituals at the slaughterhouse, and her restless spirit is said to haunt the grounds to this day. Numerous visitors have reported seeing a headless apparition wandering the area, believed to be Pearl Bryan. As the 1933 repeal of Prohibition approached, the establishment caught the eye of E.A. Buck Brady, who purchased the building and named it the Primrose. For over a decade, Brady ran a successful operation, but his success drew unwanted attention from Cincinnati mobsters eager to control the lucrative establishment. When Brady refused to sell his business, tensions escalated, resulting in violence that plagued the surrounding area. Fights broke out, and threats were made to patrons in the parking lot until Buck finally confronted a mobster named Albert Red Masterson with a gun. The resulting charge of attempted murder forced Brady to leave the casino business in 1946, setting the stage for the establishment's grim future. In the 1950s, the building reopened as a nightclub called the Latin Quarter. It was during this era that the story of Johanna, a beautiful dance hall girl, became entwined with the venue's dark history. Johanna was the daughter of the nightclub's owner and fell in love with a singer named Robert Randall, who performed at the club. Their love was intense, but Johanna's father vehemently disapproved of their romance. Determined to keep his daughter from leaving with the young singer, Johanna's father used his criminal connections to have Robert killed. When Johanna discovered the devastating truth, she was consumed by grief and rage. In a fit of despair, she poisoned her father before taking her own life in the basement of the very building that had held her dreams. By the late 1970s, then called the Hard Rock nightclub, became notorious for its rough atmosphere and the violence that often erupted inside. The nightclub experienced a series of fatal shootings, leading local authorities to close the establishment in 1978. Robert Randall Mackey, famously known as Bobby Mackey, a country music singer, purchased the building later in 1978 and converted it into the honky-tonk it became known for. Despite the countless reports of ghostly activity, Mackey has said he doesn't believe in the paranormal and rarely talks about the hauntings. However, even he can't deny the eerie occurrences that continue to plague his business. The paranormal activity at Bobby Mackey's Music World extends far beyond ghost sightings. Employees, patrons, and paranormal investigators have reported intense encounters, including physical attacks. The most common reports are of being scratched, shoved, or even bitten by unseen forces. Many believe these attacks are the work of a demonic entity residing in the building. Carl Lawson, a former caretaker of Bobby Mackey's, experienced some of the most chilling encounters. He claimed to have been possessed by the dark force that inhabits the basement, and even underwent an exorcism to rid himself of the evil spirit. Despite this, Lawson maintained that he continued to be tormented by the supernatural forces during his time at the nightclub. Even if you're not a believer in the paranormal, the warnings posted inside Bobby Mackey's Music World are enough to give you pause. Signs caution that management is not responsible for the actions of ghosts or spirits on the premises. This disclaimer has become part of the venue's eerie charm, attracting ghost hunters and thrill seekers from all over the world. Bobby Mackey's Music World continues to be a legendary hotspot for both country music fans and paranormal enthusiasts alike. However, it appears that its days may be numbered. In recent developments, there have been talks of the building being slated for demolition. While no official date has been set, rumors have circulated that the venue will soon be torn down to make way for new development. For many, the potential demolition raises an important question. Will the spirits tied to the land move on, or will they continue to haunt the area long after the building is gone? Some believe that demolishing Bobby Mackey's might only stir up the restless energies that have made it one of Kentucky's most haunted locations. Others think that tearing down the walls might finally bring peace to the tortured souls bound to its dark past. Number 1. Waverly Hills Sanatorium. Waverly Hills Sanatorium, located in Louisville, Kentucky, is one of the most notorious haunted locations in the world, but its chilling reputation was born from an equally dark past rooted in tragedy. To truly understand why this location is so eerie, we have to dive deep into the history of the building and its original purpose. Waverly Hills opened its doors in 1910 as a 2-story wooden hospital to treat tuberculosis patients. At the time, tuberculosis, also known as the White Plague, was rampant across the United States, and Louisville had one of the highest mortality rates due to the region's swampy climate, which helped spread the airborne disease. There were no antibiotics or proper treatments for tuberculosis back then, so doctors relied on fresh air, sunlight, and radical surgeries as potential cures, but many patients were not so fortunate. As the disease worsened in the early 1900s, Waverly Hills was expanded in 1926 to become a much larger, 5-story Gothic-style facility designed to accommodate up to 400 patients. Though the hospital's isolated location on a hilltop provided an ideal environment for treating tuberculosis, it also became a place of immense suffering and death. At its peak, thousands of patients lived, and many died, within its walls. The treatments for tuberculosis at Waverly Hills were often brutal by today's standards. Patients would undergo procedures such as thoracoplasty, in which ribs were removed to allow the lungs to expand, or surgical pneumothorax, where the lungs were intentionally collapsed to rest them. Both treatments were excruciatingly painful and often fatal. Despite these measures, the death toll remained high, with many sources estimating that over 6,000 people died at Waverly Hills during its years of operation. This high death rate led to the construction of one of the sanatorium's most infamous features, the body chute or death tunnel. This 500-foot-long tunnel was originally built to help staff transport supplies in and out of the hospital discreetly, but it soon became the pathway used to remove the bodies of the deceased. The goal was to prevent the sight of corpses from discouraging other patients and to keep morale up. But the tunnel itself became a symbol of the inevitable death that loomed over the sanatorium. By the 1940s and 1950s, medical advancements, including the discovery of antibiotics like streptomycin, had begun to curb the spread of tuberculosis, and fewer patients required hospitalization. In 1961, Waverly Hills was closed as a tuberculosis hospital, but it soon reopened as Woodhaven Geriatric Center, a facility for elderly patients and those suffering from mental illnesses. Unfortunately, the new chapter in Waverly Hills history was just as grim. Woodhaven Geriatric Center became infamous for mistreatment and neglect, with reports of patients being heavily sedated, improperly cared for, and subjected to electroshock therapy. The conditions were so poor that the state of Kentucky shut down the facility in 1982 due to numerous violations. The hospital remained abandoned after that, slowly decaying and falling into ruin, which only added to its eerie atmosphere. With decades of death, suffering, and despair lingering in its walls, it's no surprise that Waverly Hills quickly gained a reputation for being haunted. Paranormal investigators and thrill-seekers from all over the world flock to the location in hopes of experiencing something supernatural, and many claim they have. Visitors frequently report seeing shadow figures darting through the hallways, hearing disembodied voices and footsteps, and feeling cold spots that can't be explained. One of the most famous spirits said to haunt Waverly Hills is that of a young boy believed to have been a patient at the hospital, and visitors claim that his playful spirit often interacts with them by rolling a ball or moving toys left in certain parts of the building. There's also the tragic figure of room 502, a place that many believe is haunted by a nurse who allegedly hanged herself after becoming pregnant out of wedlock. Stories also suggest another nurse may have jumped to her death from the roof of the same building, and both deaths have contributed to the legend of room 502 being one of the most haunted areas in the entire sanatorium. Additionally, the body chute itself is said to be the scene of numerous paranormal occurrences. Visitors have reported hearing phantom footsteps, whispers, and even the feeling of being followed by an unseen presence as they make their way through the tunnel. Today, Waverly Hills Sanatorium is privately owned and hosts regular tours for ghost hunters and paranormal enthusiasts. The current owners have made efforts to preserve the building's history and have plans to eventually restore parts of the property. For many, visiting Waverly Hills is more than just a ghost hunting expedition. It's a chance to confront a dark chapter of American medical history and experience the lingering energy of a place where so many souls met their end. Whether you believe in the paranormal or not, Waverly Hills Sanatorium remains an unsettling and powerful reminder of the fragility of life. The combination of its tragic history, ghostly tales, and abandoned, decaying structure make it one of Kentucky's most haunted locations, and arguably one of the creepiest places in the world. Beyond the rolling hills and picturesque landscapes of Kentucky, there's a layer of mystery that has attracted paranormal investigators and ghost hunters for years. Whether it's the lingering presence of those lost to time or the unexplained phenomena that continue to baffle locals, Kentucky's haunted locations are some of the most intriguing in the country. So, if you ever find yourself in the Bluegrass State, be sure to explore both its charming towns and its darker, creepier side. Just be prepared for whatever may linger in the shadows. This has been Tyler. Thanks for joining me on this chilling exploration of Kentucky and its creepiest places. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more haunted histories and chilling tales. Share your thoughts or any ghostly experiences in the comments below. Until next time, stay curious and stay creepy. Bye for now.